My name's Stuart Ashman. I'm the Chief Executive of SkinBio Therapeutics, and I'm going to spend the next 20 to 25 minutes talking to you about who we are and what it is that we do. Just like Ronan just threw up their very important disclaimer that pretty much says ignore everything I say and do your own research. But a little snapshot about the company. So SkinBio Therapeutics IPO'd in April of 2017, at which point we raised £4.5 million at 9p. We've raised a further 6 million or so since then, which is including a recently completed fundraise for circa 4.5 million. Whilst we could have raised significantly more than this amount, we conducted this round to secure very specific IP rights to skin-related research areas with the University of Manchester, and there was a time-sensitive nature to that. And additionally, following the recent pandemic pressure placed on CROs and external testing facilities, we decided that we would establish a small standalone development facility to assist in accelerating our time to market. And this recent round of funding allows us to do exactly that. Current share price sits at around 16p, and we've weathered the COVID storm relatively well. We have a market cap of around 25 million, and our cash position was announced at the end of June this year at about 2.1 million. On the right-hand side of the slide here, you'll see a list of our major shareholders who've all been with us since IPO and continue to be extremely supportive indeed. Sorry, a little glitch on my end there. Yeah, sorry, I've got some technical issues here. So who are we? And sorry, beg your pardon. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the microbiome, and I thought it would be a simple way to explain that for those who don't know what it is. The microbiome is a term that's used to describe the community of microorganisms that live in, on, and around the human body. It's all kind of interconnected. The human microbiome has extensive functions such as the development of immunity, defense against pathogens, hosting nutrition, and that includes the production of short-chain fatty acids that are vitally important in hosting energy metabolism. All of this makes it an essential organ of the body without which we would not function correctly. So the human microbiome is an organ in its own right. I'll also be referencing probiotics, and just for the uninitiated, a probiotic is a live microbe of bacteria that is good for you. So our focus is on skin health. The clue is pretty much in the name of the company, specifically how skin looks, how it feels, and most importantly, how it repairs from injury in various diseases. So in the past, there's been an awful lot of work done on the gut microbiome and the impact of probiotics on that gut. And consumers have become acutely more aware of gut health and its impact on our overall well-being through the likes of things like Yakult and Activa probiotic yogurts that you see every day in the supermarkets. But very little's been known about the skin microbiome. So in 2009, Professor Kath O'Neill, who is a world-renowned scientist from the University of Manchester and leads the translational dermatology department there, and is also, I'm very proud to say, our chief scientific officer, she looked to replicate the benefits of probiotics used in the gut and translated them to the surface of the skin. This involved the identification of appropriate gut bacteria strain to extract and then apply to the surface of the skin. In our case, this specific bacteria was Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which has excellent defensive action within the gut environment. Professor Kath and the team decided that a bacterial lysate would allow greater stability, shelf life, and ease of use. So effectively, we take bacteria from the gut and quite literally smash it to pieces to make it more stable and give it greater shelf life. So at this point, I'll very flippantly fast forward over 9 years of exhaustive research by one of the most respected scientists in the field of microbiome research. But to put it in a nutshell, her research formed the basis to deliver probiotics to the surface of the skin from both the outside topically, and also she does have experience in looking at how to heal from the inside, from the gut, and that's with a blend of bacteria, and I'll detail that in just a moment. Subsequently, a company was spun out of the university. We listed, as I said, in 2017, and we've translated that science into a 5-pillar commercial strategy that covers everything from cosmetics right through to pharmaceuticals. We've signed 2 commercial agreements, the first with Croda PLC in November of last year, and the second with Winklow Probiotics in January of this year. And we're seeing an awful lot of activity despite COVID, and we're in discussions with several multinationals across all 5 of our strategic sectors. And finally, after more than 12 years of research in total, and since the company's floated, we've been busily filing patents, which has resulted in an extremely robust IP portfolio. So with the bacteria lysate and various concepts of blends for probiotics, we needed to establish a route to market, and this is what we've established as our commercial platform. 5 strategic pillars in 5 separate sectors to deploy microbiome-related science. First of all, I'll walk you through them. SkinBioTherapeutics. This is the company's core technology, and it's designed to promote skin health by harnessing the beneficial properties of probiotic bacteria in cosmetic applications. That's the important word there, cosmetic applications. AccessBiotics is the second pillar. This is using probiotic blends of live probiotics and addressing the emerging area of science that's focused on the gut-skin axis and its role in various diseases. And I'll come on to detail that in a little while. Medibiotics is targeting the use of our technology for medical device applications, topical treatments of skin diseases, as well as accelerated wound closure and advanced wound care. The fourth pillar is Clean Biotics. This focuses on the use of our technology to address certain categories of healthcare-acquired infections and the potential to reintroduce good bacteria into domestic environments. And the final pillar is Pharma Biotics, and that's a natural extension of the medical device and access biotic applications. So why did we choose those 5 pillars, and why did we put them in that order? And in order to get a commercial launch point, we needed to look at the science from a regulatory perspective. What do we need to do? What qualifications do we need to have to get this product actually out into the market? And the best way to explain that is via a time and cost axis. So in order of ease of regulatory clearance, the first one, SkinBioTherapeutics, these are claims surrounding aesthetics, well-being, cosmetics, as I mentioned, anti-aging. And this requires simply a safety trial, which was completed last year, as a result of which we signed a deal with Croda. The second step of the staircase is AccessBiotics, and these are claims that are limited specifically to food supplements. No mode of action claims, so not a medical device, and it plays on the gut-skin axis, or as I like to say, healing skin from within, and this requires simply a short consumer trial. The third area is the medical device market, a little bit more regulated here, or significantly more regulated actually. This sector requires clinical trials for each application or mode of action claim that we make. So a little longer to market, a little bit more expensive. The fourth area is healthcare acquired infection and surface protection. And this is, yet again, a little bit longer to market, more regulatory requirements and more hurdles to jump over, and a little bit more expensive again. And finally, the most regulated and expensive and timely of them all is the pharmaceutical market, the regulated prescription medical market. Longest trials, but as far as we see it, as we climb the staircase, we de-risk at every single step, but we're 2 steps up the staircase right now. So just a little bit of focus on each area, just so you understand where we are and what we've done to date. The first, as I mentioned, is cosmetic application of our science. This was by far and above the fastest regulatory path. This was all about basically increasing and enhancing the skin's natural barrier, and also looking at anti-aging claims here. And on the right-hand side, you can see 2 slides that I've shown before, but for those who haven't seen them, these are the same piece of skin. On the left-hand side, untreated. On the right-hand side, treated with SkinBioTherapeutics. The thing to focus on here are I don't know whether you can see my mouse, the purple candelabra-like structures. These are fibrillin microfibrils, which deteriorate in aging, specifically in exposure to the sun, which is actually the biggest driver of aging. In the presence of you can see them, they're short and stunted here on the left, and there's very little undulation, very little room to tighten up. On the right-hand side, you can see when treated with our proprietary SkinBioTherapeutics topical treatment, you can actually see the candelabras have opened up, stretching much stronger now, pulling the skin together. You can see the undulations there, closing the skin up. And if that was what brought Croda PLC to the table, and as I say, we did a deal with them back end of last year. Why did we choose to partner with Croda? Well, not least of all, they're a FTSE 100 company, a very healthy company, they're a British company, and they have a specialist division in Sederma, who are a specialist cosmetic ingredient division based in Paris. They have 12,000 plus customers, and that includes many household names. They specifically manufacture cosmetic ingredients, not finished products, cosmetic ingredients. So think Pond's, Garnier, Chanel, Estee Lauder, you name it, they're there, 12,000 of them. This deal is very specific to active skincare, so cosmetics, moisturizer, makeup, etc. Only that specific niche area. And Croda have agreed to dedicate a production facility for this purpose. They're building a bespoke facility to produce SkinBioTherapeutics, our lysate, as an ingredient for use in cosmetic applications. We negotiated the right to buy back that lysate for use in our other strategic pillars. So if you think, had we done a deal with a branded cosmetic company, we would have had to either build our own manufacturing plant, and frankly, that's not what we do, or we'd have had to buy the raw material in from a third party at a significant markup. So this is very much the best deal for us all round. We're a winner all round. Delighted to say that this project is very much on schedule, despite COVID, and is running to plan. So delighted with progress therein. The next area I mentioned before, Axis Biotics. This addresses the gut-skin axis, and this is a newly emerging and important avenue of medicine and scientific investigation. As I said before, healing skin from within. This is the best way to describe this is if you eat something that disagrees with you, then you develop a rash and become blotchy, etc. That's a great example of the gut-skin axis in play. When we look at gut problems and indigestion, they can actually affect the way that your body retains nutrients that are found in your diet, and this leads to very poor absorption of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and often that can make skin conditions considerably worse. So we look to restore that vital balance by the addition of very specific blends of live probiotics that are targeted at specific disease, and we do this through food supplements. Why food supplements? Well, it's the fastest route to market, it's the lowest regulatory hurdle to get this particular strand of our science to market. We signed a deal with Winklo Probiotics. They're a Netherlands-based company. They are experts in this field. There are certainly bigger companies, but in our opinion, nobody better. So reasonably swift route to market. We do have a psoriasis trial that's commencing in Q1 of next year. That is very much app-driven. We were going to do very much a medical trial. When I say medical, a food supplement trial backed up by blood samples and stool samples, etc. So we needed access to clinical assets. COVID put paid to that. So rather than sit and mull over things that could have been, we decided to reinvent the trial so that we've now basically written a mobile phone application. So this is done remotely. The products are sent out by mail, and we'll be monitoring that through mobile phone cameras in a very smart application. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But that's Axis Biotics and our second pillar. The third pillar is very much our core science. This is medical device market, topical treatment of eczema and psoriasis. Again, from the outside, there's also a huge opportunity to look at advanced wound care and accelerated wound healing. We are in significant discussions with multiple global players here. You can see the bottom right-hand slide here. The top slides look at enhancing the skin barrier. The bottom looks at preventing Staphylococcus aureus from directly latching to the surface of the skin. So it's very important that you understand that we can actually stop that happening. And as it's shown there, the red staining is Staphylococcus aureus, the blue is skin. Left untreated, you can see it invading the skin. On the right-hand side, you can see it's all but eliminated. The fourth area is clean biotics. This is basically, I showed you protecting surface of the skin, and skin is but a surface, albeit a very complicated living and breathing surface. So if we can protect something as complicated as skin, why can't we protect an inert surface like a door handle or an operating table? And as the world becomes more and more infection control aware and begins to understand the implications of good bacteria versus bad bacteria, we need to reintroduce this good bacteria to assist in defending against infection. For example, MRSA is known as a superbug. It preys on the vulnerable in hospital areas. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. And that Staphylococcus aureus is the very bad bacteria that was shown in the previous slides that we can absolutely prevent from latching. So this is a very, very hot area at the moment because everybody is very, very aware of infection and bacteria, etc. So we are in discussions with a number of global players here about how we get our science into the market in both a professional environment, in a hospital, but also in a domestic environment too. And the final area, and I don't intend to dwell on this, is pharma biotics. This is the longest route to market. it is an obvious connection from Access Biotics. If we can prove that we can slow down and suppress things like psoriasis and eczema through a food supplement, then it's quite easy to understand why the big pharma companies would be interested in taking that down a prescription method, a prescription route. So as I say, we don't spend an awful lot of time on it, but we have spoken to the large pharmas and they're watching what we do with great interest. So I thought I'd spend the last couple of minutes focusing on the nearest area of commercial opportunity that we have, which is Access Biotics and the psoriasis trial. So we've selected to start with psoriasis, and so a little information about that specific disease. Psoriasis is a common inflammatory, non-infectious skin disease for which there is no cure, and that's a big driver for why we started there. It's characterized by scaling or lesions, if you want to call them that, resulting from accelerated skin cell formation, which can be up to 10 times faster than the normal rate. There's multiple types of the condition, but the most prevalent form is psoriasis vulgaris, which makes up about 90% of all cases. It's also known as plaque psoriasis because of the plaquing effect of skin cells that become highly irritated and itchy. And this occurs because the overactive immune system speeds up skin cell growth. So normal skin cells grow and completely shed within about 28 days to a month. With psoriasis, skin cells do this in, as I said, 3 to 4 days. Instead of shedding, the new skin cells are pushed to the surface of the skin and sit right behind the old skin cells that haven't shed and they're not ready to shed. So this scaling can appear on any part of the body, although it's most commonly found on elbows, knees, lower back, etc. So what causes it? It's an autoimmune disease, meaning it results from abnormal activity of the body's immune system. In this case, overreacting and attacking its own skin cells. As is often the case with these diseases, the exact precise cause of psoriasis is not fully understood, but we do know that genetic and environmental components hold crucial roles in its development. So as psoriasis involves abnormal rates of keratin-producing skin cells, treatments aim to remove the scales and stop these skin cells from growing so quickly, normally through the use of topical ointments. And those ointments are often classed as wet creams. They think things like Vaseline and Sudocrem, they don't readily absorb within the skin. So they're very, very difficult to rub in. So they rub off on clothes, etc., etc. And you can miss a bit when you're applying creams. As it gets more advanced, you can often see things like phototherapy, UV treatment, where the skin's exposed to UV light, and actually daylight and sunshine is very, very good for psoriasis. As it gets more advanced, you see more systemic treatments, so oral immunosuppressants and injected medications that work throughout the entire body. But if you just think about that phrase, immunosuppressants, for where we find ourselves right now, there is an entire cross-section of the community that are taking immunosuppressants, suppressing their immune system whilst there's a COVID-19 virus on the loose, and they are the vulnerable people that were isolated right at the start of the pandemic. So it is a rather frightening condition indeed. Not surprisingly, conditions associated with significant mental health issues, depression, isolation, etc. So where do we come in? So Access Biotic PS is a food supplement. It's a blend of probiotic strains in the form of, as I said, a food supplement. And it really is quite remarkable science. And what you have here is basically 5 or 6 strains of bacteria that are working together. And let me just explain that for a moment. To get 2 strands of probiotics that sit next to each other and don't kill each other or just do nothing is quite remarkable. To get 5 or 6 that work together is nothing short of miraculous. It's like finding 7 needles in 700,000 haystacks. So what we're doing is filling in the probiotic gaps in what's termed a leaky gut, where psoriatic patients don't have that vital bacteria and can't reproduce it. So you take it daily, it builds up a probiotic foundation that's topped up every single day. It's a sachet dissolved into water or sprinkled on cereal, etc. So it has an immense increase in the quality of life over wet creams and injections, etc. As I mentioned earlier, the original study was halted by COVID. The new study's app-based, so much more COVID resistant if there's such a thing. It's a 60-day study. It'll start in Q1 next year of 200 subjects. Live data, it's not blinded, so we'll get to see how it goes as each day progresses. We will follow this up with a Manchester study for bloods and stool samples, etc. You know, as and when we get access to those clinical assets. Psoriasis impacts about 3% of the population. So in the UK alone, there's 2 million sufferers. in excess of 100 million sufferers worldwide. So you just imagine if we could secure 1% of those people. It's a new approach to skincare and skin-related disease. We are literally healing from the inside out, harnessing the power of the microbiome. There's multiple other applications here. Acne, we're discussing how we could put probiotics into a chewing gum for the treatment of acne. There's things like contact dermatitis, atopic dermatitis, rosacea, etc., etc. So the opportunities to heal from the inside out are significant. So in summary, we've got 5 channels, 5 routes to market, multiple applications and multiple sub-channels within those particular pillars. They're all adaptations of microbiome-driven proven science, and this significantly de-risks our core science as every step, as every deal is signed. We believe this is a very, very clear trajectory. It's both manageable and very, very achievable, as we've demonstrated thus far. 2 steps up, a 5 steps stay away. And that pretty much ends my formal presentation.
Lovely. Stuart, thank you very much indeed for that. And thank you for everyone who sent their questions in so far. Please do carry on. We'll try and get through as many as we can. So Stuart, we're going to jump from subject to subject a little bit as we cover off these questions. In September, you announced the appointment of a senior medical advisor, Dr. Jonathan Sheffield, to the board. Can you elaborate on why he was appointed and what value he brings?
That's a good question, and it's a question I've been asked before. Why we're working in medical areas and we don't have a medical advisor at the board. So Jonathan Sheffield, first of all, is an outstanding physician or clinician, if you like. He's very, very well connected and he's very research driven. He's the former chief executive of the National Institute of Research. He's just stepped down from that. He advises the Ministry of Health and has very strong connections to government. We are in advanced negotiations in our biotics sector. So in the medical device sector, where we're looking at accelerated wound closure. So we're looking at putting probiotics and live bacteria into an open wound to accelerate its closing. We need very significant clinical guidance here. We understand the science, we understand the application, we know what we know from our side, but in terms of regulatory clearance, we absolutely need a clinical advisor that can walk us through that and advise us. So he is a significant addition to the board and we're delighted to have him on board. So he advises not just in medibiotics, but also in hospital-acquired infections. He'll be invaluable to us should we go down the pharmaceutical path, and he's also advising on the skin conditions that we have. So he's a perfect addition to the team, but thank you for the question.
With regards to Access Biotics and your trial on psoriasis early next year, you mentioned you'd look to potentially launch product towards the end of the year. And how's that going to be sold?
That's a great question. We had initially talked about in previous presentations about selling this product as a food supplement through health food stores. We have been guided and indeed driven by the psoriatic community, the psoriasis sufferers themselves. So as we've done our research, we've interacted heavily with the psoriasis community, and they have asked us to make this product available online through a web portal. So not only does that give us greater control when we're not fighting for shelf space with everybody else in a health food store, it actually gives us a much faster route to market. It's also in terms of finances, we're paid faster and we don't have to wait for the retailers to give us our payment. So it's probably the best route, the fastest route. It's not a route that we'd initially considered. So we're now building a web portal, and we're going to do this on a subscription basis. So people will subscribe to a monthly package of probiotics to help treat the psoriasis condition, and hopefully continue that subscription as they move forward. We are going to limit the subscriptions because we don't want to be swamped. We've got to stress test a supply chain here between Winclove in the Netherlands and a fulfillment house. So we're working very, very diligent on all of that now, but when we release it, we will probably release it in batches of 20,000 to 50,000 subscribers and limit that until we can actually control the supply chain. The worst thing we can do here is have psoriasis sufferers not be able to get the product. Building the probiotic foundation is vital, and what we don't want is any of these patients to be in a position where they can't get their hands on the product. So we're going to limit the release and time it accordingly. But excellent question, thank you very much indeed.
Does COVID present any opportunities for the company? I'm thinking firstly of applications in hand gel. You have to use several times a day, and with clean biotics, is it just a domestic, or could there be possibilities in public transport, airlines, cruise ships, etc.?
That's another excellent question. I'm getting the hard ones tonight, but there's only so much I can say in this. We are in discussions with a number of companies. There are potential opportunities, so yeah, very wise of you to acknowledge that, whoever asked the question. We are looking specifically at hospital-acquired infections. There are significant domestic opportunities. We have. I think we're all guilty of over spraying our households with antibacterial sprays, and I've talked about this before. Kills 99% of all known germs dead is a phrase that we see on specific products, and the big question is, not only have we killed the bad bacteria, we've killed all the good bacteria too. Hence, we're getting sicker as a society. That, linked with the overprescription of antibiotics, means that you do get superbugs coming to the fore. COVID is a virus rather than a bad bacteria, so it's a different category. But the introduction of good bacteria to help shore up immune systems and help to protect our home environments as well as professional environment is something we are in advanced discussions over. So yes, there are opportunities there, and that's about as much as I can say, I'm afraid.
Okay. Can you tell us about competitors in any and each of your pillars and why you are ahead?
There are competitors in pretty much every pillar that we have, and obviously the slide with the pillars is still in front of us now. So there are cosmetic companies out there that claim anti-aging. There's no scientific evidence behind pretty much all of them. We actually have some scientific evidence to prove that we can restore elasticity in the skin, and that's why we're working with Croda. There are other companies that are looking at microbiome cosmetics. So yes, there is competition there, but we do feel, because we actually can make that claim now, and we're working with a superpower like Croda, and who are building a dedicated line, that we're ahead of the curve there. In Access Biotics, there are definitely probiotics out there. What there are not are blends, very specific cocktails and blends that are disease specific in terms of their treatment target, if you like. So we are very much ahead of the game in that respect. Medibiotics, advanced wound care and accelerated wound closure has been the holy grail of wound care forever and a day. We feel that we've got the edge on a number of our competitors because of the quality of the research and because of the quality of the team that we have. And we are speaking to the biggest advanced wound care companies in the world about how we accelerate this. And we need to be very careful that we choose best-in-class partners there. Clean biotics, we are ahead of the curve, again, purely and simply because of the way that we can basically dispense our product. We are talking about microbiome-driven science, and we're talking about extremely smart technology here, as opposed to putting, well, some of the products I just named, killing 99% of all known germs dead, is not the solution, and that's why society is getting sicker and sicker. Pharma biotics, I can't really comment on. As I said, we've tickled the big farmers, but done a little more, and they are watching us with great interest in both Access and Medi.